Hey everyone, welcome back. So we're in Abu Dhabi for the final race of the 2025 season. And honestly, this is shaping up to be one of the most interesting title fights we've seen in years. We've got three drivers mathematically in contention: Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, and Oscar Piastri. Friday practice just wrapped up, and there's a lot to unpack here. Let's dive into what happened and what it all means. The Friday numbers. Alright, so let's start with the basics. Lando Norris topped both practice sessions on Friday. In FP1, he was quickest by just 0.008 seconds ahead of Verstappen. But then FP2 came around in the evening under the lights, and Norris extended that gap to 0.363 seconds. That's a pretty significant jump. When you're talking about a title-deciding weekend, every tenth of a second matters, and the trend here is pointing in McLaren's direction. George Russell was third in FP2, about 0.379 seconds off the pace. Oliver Bearman was fourth and was apparently loving his Haas, radioing in to say the car was insane. 9 rookie drivers took part in FP1, so Piastri actually missed the first session. Verstappen's concerns. Now let's talk about Max Verstappen, because this is where it gets interesting. After Friday running, Max came on the radio during FP1 saying something might be broken on his car.
I don't know if something broken on the car. Oh, it's everywhere now.
He was complaining about bouncing, especially through turn 3. Red Bull's team principal Laurent Mekies later confirmed everything was okay, just a balance issue they need to work on. But here's what Verstappen said after the sessions. He was fairly happy with the balance, but they're just not quick enough. He specifically mentioned that both their single-lap pace and their long-run race pace need to be better. Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko echoed these concerns. They're losing most of their time in Sector 3, which is all those tight 90-degree corners. The car has an understeer tendency, which Verstappen really doesn't like. Verstappen has been dealing with bouncing and ride issues all season with the RB21. He called it a constant fight, but added, that's nothing new. Norris's cautious optimism. Now, you'd think that dominating both Friday sessions would have Lando in a pretty good mood, right? Well, not exactly. After topping FP2, Norris said he has nothing to smile about just yet, and that he's not completely confident, despite the pace advantage. This tells you everything about the pressure he's under. He's leading the championship by 12 points, which means a podium finish guarantees him his first world title regardless of what Verstappen or Piastri do. But he's seen how quickly things can change. Just look at what happened in Qatar last weekend when McLaren's strategy mistake cost them what should have been an easy win. Norris also suggested their performance might look better than it actually is, hinting that other teams probably haven't turned up their engines yet. The Piastri problem. Here's where McLaren has a bit of an issue. Oscar Piastri missed FP1 because Pato O'Ward took his seat for the mandatory rookie running. So FP2 was his first time in the car all weekend, and it showed. He finished 11th, almost 7/10 slower than his teammate Norris. According to reports, Piastri had a massive lockup at turn 6 during his qualifying simulation, which ruined that lap. Then teams switched to race runs earlier than usual, so he didn't get another chance. McLaren was apparently tinkering with his setup throughout the session. Now, mathematically, Piastri is still in the title fight. He's 16 points behind Norris. But realistically, he needs to finish in the top 2 and needs Norris to have a disaster. The bigger question is whether McLaren might need to use team orders if Piastri ends up between Norris and Verstappen during the race. The three-way championship math. Let's break down exactly what each driver needs to do on Sunday. Lando Norris has the simplest path. Finish third or higher and he's champion no matter what anyone else does. If he finishes fourth, he needs Verstappen not to win. Max Verstappen needs to win the race and needs Norris to finish fourth or lower. That's his only realistic shot at a 5th consecutive title. It's win or bust for him. Oscar Piastri needs to win and needs Norris to finish 6th or worse with Verstappen off the podium. Like I said, it's a long shot. Here's an interesting tidbit. If somehow multiple drivers end up tied on points, it goes to a count back. Norris, Verstappen and Piastri all have 7 wins this season, so it would go to second-place finishes. Norris has 8 of those, Verstappen has 6, and Piastri has 4, so Norris wins any tiebreaker scenario. The momentum factor. One thing you can't ignore is the momentum heading into this weekend. Verstappen has won 5 of the last 8 races. At one point after the Dutch Grand Prix, he was 104 points behind in the championship. 104 points. That's absolutely massive. The turnaround has been partly due to Red Bull bringing upgrades at Monza that helped expand their working window. But it's also been about McLaren making mistakes. The strategy error in Qatar. The double disqualification in Las Vegas for excessive plank wear. Piastri's crash in Baku while fighting for the win. These errors have kept Verstappen in the hunt when, by all rights, this championship should have been wrapped up weeks ago. The psychological game. One thing that stood out to me from Friday was how differently the 2 title protagonists are approaching this. Norris is cautious, almost pessimistic despite having the faster car. He's managing expectations, not wanting to jinx anything, very aware that he's never been in this position before. Verstappen, on the other hand, is being pretty honest about Red Bull's deficits but isn't panicking. He's a 4-time world champion. He's been in title-deciding races before, most famously in 2021 at this very track. That experience factor could matter. If things get chaotic on Sunday, and season finales often do, Verstappen might be better equipped to handle the pressure and make the right calls in the moment. What to watch? Qualifying on Saturday is going to be crucial. If Norris gets pole position or at least starts ahead of Verstappen, his path to the title becomes so much easier. But if Verstappen somehow manages to qualify ahead, suddenly he can control the pace from the front, and Norris has to worry about undercutting, strategy, tire management. All these variables come into play. We'll also want to see if Red Bull can find the improvements Verstappen is asking for. Friday isn't always representative. Teams have pulled off bigger turnarounds before. And keep an eye on Piastri. If he can get his setup sorted and qualify in the top 5 or 6, McLaren might be in a position to use him strategically to help Norris if needed. So there you have it. Friday practice at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix gave us a McLaren that looks quick but not confident, a Red Bull that's concerned but experienced, and a 3-way title fight that realistically comes down to 2 drivers. Norris needs a podium. Verstappen needs a miracle. And we've got all weekend to see how it plays out. After 23 races and an entire season of ups and downs, it all comes down to 58 laps around Yas Marina Circuit on Sunday evening. Should be a good one. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you after qualifying tomorrow to break down exactly what happened and how it sets up for Sunday's title decider. See you then.